All right. Well, welcome again, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone's having a great week. This is our first webinar of the year. I can't believe it. We've made it 2026. Hope it's going off really well for everyone. We're excited for this topic. We've had a lot of interest around social media, so excited for Rebecca to be here and kick the new year off for us. So this is Aparo's Nonprofit Bites and Insights. These are free webinar series that are specifically designed for nonprofit professionals like yourselves. So like I mentioned before, we have Rebecca Pierre with us. She is the chief storyteller for Sparklight Strategies, and she's going to be talking with us around social media. Before I turn it over to her, a few housekeeping items. This session will be recorded and it will be shared with you on our website as well as our YouTube channel. For those of you who are attending live, you'll receive an email from me. It'll include the direct link to the recording, so you don't need to go searching for it, as well as a copy of the slide deck and any other resources we might talk about today. This piece is new. Aparo just implemented a new policy around AI note takers. We won't be allowing AI note takers to join or record this session. So if you did bring in an AI note taker, I will be going into in a minute to kick those out. Just a heads up on that. And then finally, Q&A and chat box are available for you to use. There are quite a few of us in the room, so please use the Q&A box to drop in your questions. That just helps us keep this organized and make sure we address all the questions so that they don't get lost in the chat box. Chat box, feel free to use comments. Rebecca's going to be asking some questions throughout her presentation, so I know we'll be definitely using that chat box. Okay, so really quickly, for those of you who are new to Aparo, we are a nonprofit ourselves. We are based in Charlotte, North Carolina. And what we do is we help other nonprofits with any of your technology or business process challenges or needs. So we want to make sure that you are looking at your processes, making be more efficient so that you can amplify your impact in the communities and populations that you serve. We do offer a wide range of services, so I invite you to go to our website at apar.org, check us out. If there is a service or program you're interested in, there is a service form request. You can just fill that out and someone will get in contact with you right away. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our email list. We have quite a few cohort programs and grant programs that are coming up in the next couple of weeks that we're going to be announcing, so be on the lookout for that. And that's it for me. I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Rebecca.
Great, sounds good. Hello, everyone. I'm going to share my screen here. All right. Everything look good over here? Perfect. All right. So today we're going to talk about social media made simple, smarter strategies for busy nonprofits like you so you can create content without spending a ton of time and money. And also we're going to talk about some AI tools that we can use to help our work a little bit better. So before we get into it, I'm going to introduce myself. Hello, my name is Rebecca. I am the founder of Sparklight Strategies, which is run by me, myself, and I do communications consulting. I've been in the communication space for about 10 years, working with small nonprofits like yourselves, as well as large corporations. So I've kind of seen it all, how different companies use content through, free platforms versus paid platforms. And within these past 10 years, I've really realized that I really like helping the small nonprofits grow, coming up with new strategies to create content, whether it's social media, whether it's newsletters, whether it's websites, creating content that makes you expand your reach without spending money and or very little money and with when you have very little time. So I help mission-driven organizations like yourself expand your reach through different content. So let's go over the agenda today. We're going to start with the basics, just go over some of the popular social media platforms. And then we'll get into saving you time, some ways to save you money, Then we'll go into more talking about AI and then some resources that would be helpful for you. All right. And if I stop to take a break, it's probably because it's dry in here and I need some water. So excuse me if I do that. All right. So let's go into these social media platforms. We have Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. Facebook is very community driven. It is the most popular. Facebook and YouTube are the most popular social media platforms right now. And it's where a lot of boomers and Gen X are. I mean, millennials and Gen Z use it too, but that's pr the primary target audience is more boomers and Gen X. It's very engaging. It's friendly but informative. You don't have a text or a character limit, so you're kind of able to write as much as you want as needed. X, formerly Twitter. If I say Twitter, it's because that's what I know it as. Now it's X. X is for more rapid, quick news. It's great for thought leadership, great for just sending a message out there quickly, very popular amongst journalists and politicians. I would say it's probably one of the least reliable social media platforms, only because now that Elon Musk is doing it, he's like changing the algorithm. So unless you have a ton of people in your organization that use X, I'd probably not lean on that one as much. But it does exist. LinkedIn it's a networking tool. It's more of a professional tone. You're showing your business expertise. It's a great way to meet recruiters, job seekers, people in your industry, getting them engaged in different types of content. Um, it's really across all generations, but I'd say primarily Gen X and millennials use it, especially the job seekers and recruiters. I'm always checking LinkedIn to see what's going on. So. Um, some other popular social media platforms are Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Instagram, if Facebook is the more content tool, Instagram is the more visual storytelling tool. That's where you put your high quality images in your video. It's common for a younger audience, more millennials and Gen Z. TikTok is also common amongst, I'd say more so Gen Z than millennials. That is more Instagram is more photos and also video. TikTok is specifically for short videos. It's great if you're trying to show something like quick, that's genuine, it's authentic, it's relevant. They've got a really good algorithm there at TikTok. I will say I have seen some organizations not try to stick to what's being trendy, and sometimes that doesn't always work. So, just a note about TikTok. And then YouTube is generally for longer videos. They're really easy to search for what you want. It's there for a long time. Everyone uses it. As I mentioned, it's just as popular as Facebook. Actually, I think even more so. I think I read that it is now up to par with Google in terms of search platforms. So that's where you put your high quality video content. That's where it goes on YouTube. The shorter content might go on Instagram or TikTok. All right. And I realized I don't think I have there we go. There's the chat box. All right. So let's get into ways that you can save time using social media. First of all, focus on your audience. There's a lot of assumptions that you need to be focusing on all the different social media platforms and trying to stay up to date on all of them. That is not the case. See where your audience is. If you have your audience that's primarily on Facebook and Instagram and there's nobody that's using X, don't worry about X. If you're running out of time, then just focus on where your audience is. All right. Another way to save time is to plan ahead. I know you're busy and this can be very hard to do sometimes, but trust me, it saves you time. If it shows that you're maintaining consistency, which helps with your brand, and it actually, in the end of the day, helps you boost engagement. Um, you can post when your audiences are most engaged, not when you're available. And then I would say that the general rule of thumb is either plan 1 to 2 months ahead of time or just focus on one campaign at a time. I prefer doing one campaign at a time because you can make sure that all of the language is consistent. But it's really up to you and how your organization works. Definitely gather all the captions and posts ahead of time. Make sure you have all your photos together. And so then you can just go boom, boom, boom. I'm all ready. Everything is set to go. I don't need to worry about it. And there are tools which I'll talk about later in resources, like Hootsuite and Sprout Social that you can use to schedule your posts. All right. All right. Another way that you can save time is by tailoring content to different platforms. So let's say that you have a photo. Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. Oh my God. There we go. All right. So let's say you have a photo of let's say this is your vice president of marketing speaking at a conference. And you want to use this photo, you want to use it across different platforms, but it is better to tailor the content to fit the different platform. As we talked about earlier, each of the platforms, social media platforms, are different. So for Facebook, you might want to say something along the lines of, our Vice President of Marketing, Susan Smith, just took to the stage at Nonprofit Con to talk about how to promote your business on a limited budget. Missed it? Here are some key takeaways. Use testimonials and case studies for past clients and share the stories on social media and on your website. Personalize emails for nonprofit executives versus small organizations. Attend virtual and local events to grow your network. As you can see, this is more of a friendly yet informative tone. There's no text limit, so you're a little bit more flexible on what you can say here. And then if you're posting on Instagram, because that is such a more photo heavy platform, you might want to change the wording a little bit to meet those needs. So something along the lines of, our Vice President of Marketing, Susan Smith, just wrapped up an incredible session on promoting your business with a limited budget. Check out all the photos from her session at Nonprofit Con. That doesn't exist. Don't look it up. I just made that up. But that's emphasizing the photo aspect, not so much the actual content. You're also tagging a partner, which also really helps when you're trying to create relationships on social media. Taking a water break. Okay. And then if you want to post this on LinkedIn, you might say something like, it was great seeing Vice President of Marketing Susan Smith at Nonprofit Con today. At the conference, Susan said, share positive experiences from former customers so new customers recognize that you're an expert in your craft. Have testimonials helped you grow your business? Comment below. LinkedIn is very big on encouraging people to content. It's a great way to network with other people like yourself. So generally when I'm on LinkedIn or when I'm helping my clients using LinkedIn, oftentimes I'll try to get them either on LinkedIn or Facebook. I'll try to get them to create comments that or content that tries to emphasize some engagement. Okay. Another way that you can save time is repurposing existing content. So let's say you have a report, like a 20-page report. Your graphic designer or whoever made it probably has a lot of great content there that you can use. Rather than making something from scratch, pull a graph from it and write a little blurb about it. So that's one thing you can do. Maybe a customer wrote a really great review about you. You can use that as a testimonial with their permission, of course. Photos from events. Make sure any event that you have, like no matter how small it is, if you're able to take photos because those make great social media content. People love to see, especially in the nonprofit world, authentic photos from your organization. All right. You can also reshare other people's content. So this helps with building and sustaining relationships. And I highly encourage you to reshare any relevant board member content or partner content. and just share content that relates to your industry. It helps show that you are a thought leader in the space. You're not just promoting your content and all the stuff that you do, but things that are happening within the industry. And I would say that a good rule of thumb is to aim for about 20% of posts being shared content. That really saves a lot of time, honestly, because you don't have to worry about, you know, 100% of your content being something new and creative. Resharing, highly recommend. All right. And then last but not least, and this is probably the most important tool that you can get from this webinar, maybe not the most, but one of the most. Focus on engagement, not the number of followers. This is a huge thing that I see in the social media space for nonprofits. Leaders want to focus on numbers, and if they don't see numbers, they see numbers as a benchmark of success. But in the social media world, that's not always the case. The way that I like to think about it and the way that you can tell your leaders is, would you rather have 50 acquaintances or five best friends? So that's just a different way of thinking about it. And at the end of the day, if your audience is really engaged and you've got a few super engaged, really involved social media, like people involved with social media, that can be just as important as just having, if not more important, than having a large number of followers that just kind of passively look at your accounts. So engaged audience have higher conversion rates and lead to more money. And that leads me to the next topic, which is saving you money. In the nonprofit world, that's incredibly important. We don't have a lot of money, so anytime that we can save some, um, it's very helpful. So, all right. So, one way to save money is by posting when your target audience is most engaged. So, looking at your analytics and seeing, okay, where is my audience? What time of day is my audience? What day of the week is my audience most on this particular platform? So I know that a bunch of eyeballs are going to it. Um, this eliminates the need to do, I don't know if you've seen on LinkedIn, they have like a button that says boost post. I've tried that before. It, it's okay. But it eliminates the need to pay to promote a post because you're already making posts when your customers are already on that social media platform. So with any nonprofit, um, or with any organization, it's always going to be different. Your audience is going to be on at different times. But if you don't have access to analytics and just want a general rule of thumb, according to Sprout Social, most social media platforms see the most engagement during the middle of the week, not on weekends. I actually found that very interesting because I'm personally more so doom scrolling on the weekends. um, Generally, Facebook and LinkedIn um, are popular in mid mornings on weekdays. Think about when people are, they're getting ready for their day, they're getting their coffee, they're getting ready for their morning meeting. They might be scrolling Facebook or LinkedIn while they're getting ready for all of that. Instagram, it's usually most common to look at things on Instagram on weekdays between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. For some reason, Tuesdays and Wednesdays extend to 4 p.m. Um, I would say that it's probably 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. because that's generally when people are having lunch. So they're scrolling Instagram, they're looking at funny pictures or reels, just taking a break. Um, but always, if you are able to look at your own social media analytics to see where your audience seems to be engaging the most. Another way to save money is by getting the community to engage. Um, have your community do the work for you. Saying something along the lines of tag someone who can benefit from this. Maybe you see something on social media, and I'm not talking about like you working on a business account, but you personally. I've certainly done this. You see something from an organization and you have a friend, like maybe it's um, an adoption company for dogs and cats, and you see something and you're like, hey, my friend, so and so, they want to adopt a dog. I'm going to tag them in this post. You've already created by creating something that says tag someone who can benefit of this, you're already creating that community by encouraging people to tag. Saving this post for later. Um, that's something they don't have to, by encouraging people to save the post for later, it reminds them that they can think about it in the future. It's not something that's on your page, on their page and goes away. They can reference it later. Um, Tag your partners and board members when applicable. Obviously, don't do it in every single post, but if you have a partnership with another organization, make some post that's relevant to them, and figure out a way that you can tag your partners and board members when appropriate. Another thing, and I'm going to touch on this more in the next slide, is commenting strategically. And then also follow your partners, your industry leaders, see what they're posting, see how you can engage with them, reach their audiences. Also follow your competitors, see what they're doing in their industry. Where can you fill the gap? All right. And now we're going to talk about a little more about commenting strategically and why that's important in terms of saving money. Oh, press the wrong button again. Now you all know what's coming up next. What the heck? Sorry. There we go. All right. So, commenting strategically is very important. Writing thoughtful comments on LinkedIn helps boost engagement with leaders and it improves your visibility. LinkedIn is actually a very important tool when you're writing comments that can actually help boost engagement and boost leads to your page more so sometimes than actually creating original posts. So commenting with other people in your industry on LinkedIn is, especially LinkedIn, other social media platforms as well, but LinkedIn especially, is very important. Um, Provide tips and insights. It establishes you as a leader in the industry. It shows you as trustworthy and that you know your stuff. So when you are commenting, don't just post, yes, I agree with this. Why do you agree with this? Provide some insight. So when other people see that comment, they're like, hey, this is an interesting person that really knows what they're talking about. Oh my gosh. There we go. Ugh. Sorry, I'm using a different PowerPoint tool that I'm not used to, so sorry if I'm... There we go. And then, yeah, we talked about this earlier, commenting on partners and board member posts. I would say try to spend 10 to 15 minutes a day looking through your social media platforms and seeing which posts you might want to comment on and provide some insights. All right. So I know this is a big topic in 2026, using AI. Is AI going to take our jobs? I don't think so, but sometimes I'm afraid AI is getting smarter and smarter every day. So before we really get into when to use AI and when not to use AI, let's play a game. And this is when I'm going to be using the webinar chat. So I'm making sure that I see it. Yes. All right. So comment in the chat. Oop, I did it again. There we go. Which of these images are AI generated? Is it the right or the left? Feel free to comment in the chat box which one you think is AI generated. I realize my right and left are probably different, but I think I know. I think I know what everyone is saying. Yes. I did see somebody said looks like both. The colorful one. Yes. That's right. The colorful one is the AI generated photo. Um, Many of you got that right away. It is what gives it away? Feel free to comment and say what gives it away. Yep. It's too clean. Yes. The woman's hands. Wait, now I'm looking at her hands. Huh, interesting. Waxy quality facial expressions. Yeah, everyone looks the same. Nobody is having the same facial expression in real life. No one's that happy to be volunteering. I'm just kidding. No, people are happy to be volunteering. The blurred images in the back are a major contrast. Out of focus background and generic aprons. Yep, yep. Yeah, so you guys caught that right away. And so can your audience. So when you're using AI, make sure you're using it in a smart way. So people, if you recognize it, if it looks a little off to you, probably shouldn't share it on your social media. All right. Oop. All right. So you look through some images. Which of these social media captions are AI generated? Is it the shorter one or the longer one? And I'll give you a second to read it. Interesting. Okay. Yep. It's too poetic. Yeah. I agree. All right. Yes, you all got it right. It is the longer one. Um, and just as Julie mentioned, it's too poetic. What are some other things that might give it away? Any adjectives? Anything else give it away? Yes. Too formal, too textbooky. It doesn't sound conversational. Yes. Looks like buzzwords. Yes. Yeah. If the tone doesn't seem authentic, then your followers, your customers, they're not going to resonate with it. They want to see authenticity. Um, yes, that's true. AI can let you do formal, informal, short, or long version. Yep, that's true. Um, I once worked with a client, and I'm not going to give away names, but they all of their content was exclusively AI, and they kept asking me why they were not getting any customers. And I told them it's very clearly AI. So, when it comes to using AI, it is very important to use the human element in it. Don't just say, I need to create this. Um, and I'll go into it more here on the next slide. All right. When should I use AI? I touched on this a little bit. Don't use it as a replacement. Use it as a tool. AI is not there to take your jobs. In fact, AI is best utilized when it's used with humans. So don't use it as I'm going to write a prompt and I'm just going to use whatever AI spits out. No, put in your own content and then use that as a tool to help you create something better. All right. You can also use it to edit images, but like very basic edits. So one of my clients is in the healthcare space. So sometimes they have photos where there might be a patient in the background. And in the healthcare world, I don't know if any of you work in the healthcare space, but that is a big no-no. That is a HIPAA violation. So I have in the past, I've sometimes either used, well, actually, in that particular case, I think I used a different photo. But what you can do is you are able to, depending on how advanced the AI tool can be, sometimes you can take a person out of an image. So that might be an example where you might want to use AI. AI is great for repurposing ideas. Let's say you have an image of something and you know that you want to promote it on social media, but you don't really know how. AI might be able to suggest some ideas to you. So you're to help you out essentially. AI is great for brainstorming. How many of you, and you can comment in the chat, how many of you probably suffer from writer's block on a weekly basis? You're just stuck. You don't know. All the time. Yes, all the time. Yes. So AI is great when you're brainstorming ideas. Don't use it as a replacement, but you can kind of walk through, hey, I'm trying to make a post. This is kind of what I'm thinking. Can you polish this up a little bit? AI is great for that. Oop, not bad. All right, analytics. AI is a robot, and what are robots good at? You give them a command and they do it. So analytics, and maybe not super advanced, but basic analytics, trying to alphabetize something, trying to figure out which of your posts was the most successful that month by analyzing a bunch of data. That is one thing that AI is good for, is being able to take that information based on the information that you give it. You give it that prompt, like an analytical prompt, and it'll spit out the answer that you're looking for. When not to use AI, and I kind of touched on this a little bit more, don't use it as a replacement, use it as a tool. I don't think I need to get into that anymore. Creating an image from scratch. So that's how I got that image from before. I just said, my prompt was show people working at a food bank or something like that. You could obviously tell that was AI generated. But if you already have an image and you just want to make a quick tweak to it to make it a little bit better, that might be okay. Crisis situations. AI does not know your brand. It does not know how to handle your organization. If there is a situation where there is a hurricane and you are trying to figure out how do we get volunteers to come quickly, there was that, I think most of you all are in Charlotte. There was that situation with Sycamore Brewing. If anybody knows about what happened with that. There was a crisis situation there and they like made a generic kind of apology. I don't think it was AI. I do think it was a generic, um, you know, from somebody who worked here. But when you're in a crisis situation, you want all hands on deck. You want all of the people involved. You do not want AI getting involved in your crisis situation. They just don't know how to handle it. Oh, my bad. Final product. Don't do what I did and just write a prompt and spit out, whatever it comes out. Always double check what AI is doing. AI is a tool, but it doesn't know everything. So before you submit your final product using AI, always double check. Think to yourself, does this look like it was created by AI? If you're doing something with text or an image, how can I tweak this a little more to make it sound more like our brand, more of our authentic selves? And then the last thing I do want to mention here is chatbots. I put that in both categories because chatbots are sort of a blessing and a curse in the nonprofit sector. They do help with efficiency, and some advanced ones can create more personalized experiences. But in the nonprofit sector, your goal is to be more personal and empathetic. So, sometimes a chatbot may not always be the best solution. Sometimes it's if you might want to use chatbot if your goal is to sell a product. But to gain customers, to gain loyalty to what your organization is doing, your chatbot, unless it's super advanced and your goal is just to get as many people through the door as possible, it may or may not be the best tool. But honestly, chatbots, that's a whole other webinar topic if you want to get into chatbots and how they all work. I don't know much about chatbots, so um, that's all I know. Um, all right, so here's some resources for you all. I won't get into all of the nitty-gritty of it. Feel free to take a screenshot. I think you will be getting the slides at the end of this presentation as well, so no need if you miss any of this. But there's a lot of great tools out there, whether you're using social media for AI purposes or you're using it for just generic helping to save time and save money. But some tools that I like, I listed here Canva. That's actually what I used to create this presentation. Canva is great for designing templates. Um, there are some AI elements to it, but it's not so in your face where it's not creating like an authentic experience for, people who are looking at it. But it's great for designing, doing presentations. It's about $15 a month, but for nonprofits, if you're a registered 501(c)(3), there's actually a discount. Um, I will get to your question when I'm done with the presentation. I did see your question, Melinda. AI video, I've used CapCut before. That's a newer one for me, but there's no nonprofit discount, but there is a free option. And ChatGPT is great for writing. It's the most basic though. If you want to get more advanced, there's more tools out there, but it's free. It's easy, it gets the job done. If you want to do scheduling or time saving options, there is Hootsuite and there's Buffer. Hootsuite is it's a little bit more expensive. It is better for larger organizations. That's what I'm familiar with. It's what I prefer. But Buffer, I've heard it's a great one as well. If you're looking for a cheaper option. Lumen 5, don't have personal experience, but I've talked to other people in my field and they've used it and they said you can turn blogs and stories into video if you're looking for ways to repurpose content. I would use discretion though, because sometimes AI video can be a little wonky. I personally prefer to use more authentic, real footage for videos. And Lumen 5 is about $19 a month if you want to go that route. If you're looking for more analytical tools that are free, Meta Business Suite, it only covers Facebook and Instagram, so that is a drawback, but Meta Business Suite is a great free tool to track your analytics. Google Analytics and Search Console, it's another free platform, and it's great for tracking traffic from your social media posts. All right, I just threw a lot of information out there. So let's just do a little quick recap, a little conclusion, and then I'll get into my contact information. So today you've learned different ways to save time and money on social media, and you've learned some AI tools that you can use. Tailor content to the platform you're using. You can save time by planning ahead and repurposing content, resharing other people's content. Engagement means more than follower count in most cases, and use AI not as a replacement, but as a support tool. And with that, that concludes the end of my presentation. If you have any questions or want to connect with me on LinkedIn, this is my profile. You can just click the link here. And there's my website and my email. So that is about it. Um, and yeah, Yanting, if you want to take it
Wonderful.
away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rebecca. That was amazing. I love a lot of your tips are like kind of low-hanging fruit, and I love that. It's easy to start implementing, just having that in in the back of your mind as you are moving forward with your social media strategy. So really appreciate all of that, Rebecca. We do have quite a few questions come through, so everyone feel free to keep dropping those in. So the first question is around the focus audience. So, how do you focus on where your audience is? As a nonprofit, do you have any tips on how to determine where our audience spends a lot of time?
Honestly, it sounds simple, but just looking at your how many followers are on your page, and looking, so it's a combination of that, and then going into the analytical tool, whether it's Meta Business Suite or Hootsuite or whichever analytical tool that you're looking for, and see how many people are looking at your posts on which platform. So if you're seeing 1,000 people looking at one post on Facebook, and then you're seeing only 200 people looking at the same post on X, you know that you should be focusing on Facebook. Does that answer the person's question?
Think so. If not, if you want to elaborate, feel free to
Mhm.
drop that in. So next question, how do you like to plan out captions and images, etc., for posts ahead of time through a platform like Hootsuite?
Um, Sorry, sorry,
How do
can you
you
say
like
that?
to plan out captions, images, etc., for posts ahead of time?
Yeah, so generally it what I've done in the past is I've worked with usually a graphic designer. And well, first of all, I talk to the person that I'm working with and I create kind of a strategy as to what is the goal. That is generally how I kind of figure out how to create captions and posts, is figuring out what the goal is in mind. Um, and then I will work with the graphic designer. At least in my situations, I've had a graphic designer to work with. I know that isn't the case for all of you, but in my situation, I would talk to the graphic designer and we would talk about this is the goal. And I could talk through some of the image ideas that I have that I think express this goal. And then, the designer would also talk about the images ideas, and we kind of brainstorm together to figure out what are some images that we can use, and then what are some captions we can use along with the images to reach that goal.
And how do you kind of like organize that
Yeah.
so that, hey, next week we're going to do this caption with this image with et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So it does often depend on the campaign and what you're posting. A lot of the work I've done have been about promoting a certain month. Maybe it's like Mental Health Awareness Month. And so a lot of what I did was I did a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I always thought of the beginning post and the end post first. And then from the middle, you can kind of figure out what makes the most sense. It really does. It's hard for me to say because it really does depend on the campaign, but that would be my tip, is to focus on the beginning and the end first, and then you can focus on the part in the middle once you have those established.
Okay. Going over the chat. So you talked about AI and ChatGPT. What are your thoughts on Copilot?
Um, Copilot. So I will be quite honest with you. My husband uses Copilot. I don't feel comfortable providing advice on it because I don't really know that tool that well. But we are happy to connect later, and we can, who asked that? Melinda. Happy to connect later and kind of look into it a little bit more and walk through how that works. Mhm.
How do you analyze your organization's engagement on LinkedIn?
That is a very broad question. Can whoever sent this question, can you be a little bit more specific?
Okay, so Valerie, if you can drop that in. Um, in the meantime, let's get to the next question, also AI focused. So it's been my understanding that a post with a graphic or picture is going to get more traction. If an AI generated photo is decent, for example, a person doesn't have three arms, why not use it? Why not use it instead of no picture?
Why not? Yeah. What I'm understanding is that it's better to, you're trying to see if it's better to not use a picture at all than to use an AI generated one. Is that correct? Okay.
Think so, yeah.
Yeah. So your audience, they're not stupid. They understand if you don't have a picture. A picture does say 1,000 words, but if you have the wrong type of picture and it sends the wrong message, that can also leave a bad taste in your audience's mouth. So I would say if you are able to always try to get a photo, and if you don't want to use an AI generated photo and you don't have like a real photo, you can always use you can always like create something like basic. I'm trying to think if there was a specific situation that I've had. I remember creating a post for Black History Month, and the company I was working with, they did not want to use any AI features, but they didn't really know what to use as a photo. So I think we found something just like on Adobe Stock and just added some of our brand colors and tried to make it more ourselves. That was kind of the workaround. So I would say that if you don't have a photo and you're like, I don't want to use AI, I can clearly tell all these photos are AI. That's kind of a good middle ground, is to kind of create something that exists and tweak it a little bit to make it more your organization's. Cool. Yes,
In a
stock
perfect
love them.
In a perfect world, how many times a week do you think a nonprofit should be posting on Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn per platform? And how staggered should the posts be? Obviously customized to the platform, in your opinion.
In my opinion. Again, it does depend on your audience. There's no real right answer, in my opinion. I think that um it really just depends on what you have time for. Like in my past, I've usually tried to aim for about two. I would usually avoid posting on weekends. Um, and I would generally aim for one one or two posts a day, whether that is a um, something that is original, whether that's something shared. Um, that's generally what I would aim for, just to kind of show that you're being engaged with your audiences at different times of the day. But obviously don't, you know, if you're wearing a lot of hats and all you have time for is one, it's better to create one strong image and one strong post than to just post just to have to have posts. Hopefully that helps.
And this is the same like across all platforms, like ideally one minimum post per each platform.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Okay.
would say, kind of as what I touched on earlier, is like if you are having more followers on Facebook and or more followers on LinkedIn, you might want to focus on those and have those have more posts on those platforms than some of the other ones where your audience may not necessarily be.
Great. So Valerie did respond. Thank you for the clarity, Valerie. So MetaSuite has its own analytics for Facebook and Instagram. Google has theirs. Is there a tool to measure engagement on the LinkedIn platform?
Yeah, if you have your own a LinkedIn business account, like if you run your LinkedIn business, there should be a tool. Um, and I don't have LinkedIn up with me right now, but there should be in LinkedIn Business a drop down where you can see analytics. And if I remember correctly, how LinkedIn works, it's been a while since I've looked at the LinkedIn analytics, but I believe it shows per post, like it in the analytics tool, they have a post and then it shows how many impressions you got, how many comments, how many likes.
Mm.
Um, I believe that's how it works. I could be wrong.
We can also look into it after offline,
Okay.
and then I'll add it to the follow-up email if we find any updates on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. So do you do one individual post per platform or repurpose the same post across all of the platforms?
Um, Sorry. One post per platform or repurpose the same. It's up to you. Um, it's really if you want to have the post on multiple platforms, if you want like your people on Facebook, your people on Instagram, your people on LinkedIn to all see the same image, or the same video, then yes, I would recommend changing the text a little bit, and repurposing it a little bit, to fit the platform. Just it helps with the algorithm. If you don't, it's fine. You may not get as many impressions on it, just because you're not really tailoring the language to the platform. Um, but in my opinion, it is better to just tailor it just a little bit. Whether it's a photo on Instagram, you make it a little bit more photo heavy. If it's Facebook, maybe make it more text heavy, less focus on the actual photo. It just kind of helps a little bit.
Um, and this question, I think, is just to clarify. So to clarify, you suggest 1 to 2 posts a day.
That is my suggestion, but that doesn't mean that that is the right way for you. If your organization only has time to do one post a week, um, I know that there's a lot of people here wearing a lot of different hats. Social media is not the only tool to help get your message out there. It is only one way. If you are finding that most of your donors, most of the money you're getting, most things that you're doing are not really from social media, and you just don't have time to focus on social media, then don't worry about it. So don't, no pressure. It is a recommendation for me, but it does not mean that you have to do it.
I guess, could you provide a little context of like why 1 or 2 posts a day versus maybe one every other day? Does it change like kind of the background algorithm or anything like that? Or
Um,
how it pops up on people's feeds?
I mean, usually with most social media content, it posts like whatever's the newest and what people look at, people engage with the most. That's generally how things show up on most social media platforms. So the only benefit of posting one or two a day, rather than one every other day or once a week, is that it might show up into people's feeds a little bit more. But if you don't have the time to make one or two posts a day, um, don't worry about it.
Right. Right. And just want to share Valerie followed your guidance to LinkedIn and she found it. It's under tracking
Yay!
information. So there is an
Oh, tracking
analytics
information. Okay.
in
I didn't
LinkedIn.
have LinkedIn up on my screen, so I was like, I was trying to remember like from memory. So I'm glad you found it.
You got her there.
Yeah.
Um, Another question came in. Can you clarify a little bit more about how you tailor a post for Instagram versus Facebook?
Yeah, so Instagram and Facebook both utilize captions and, photos, but Instagram is a little bit more photo and video heavy. So, if you're trying to differentiate between, Facebook and video, like if you're trying, sorry, not Facebook and video. Bleh. If you are trying to, make the same post for Facebook and the same post for Instagram, it is probably better to make the Instagram focus, less words, make it more let the image tell the story. Um, and then Facebook, you can still have the image tell the story, but, you have a little bit more wiggle room to talk about it, through your caption.
Um, just wanted to highlight someone mentioned about the algorithm for each social media platform. Instagram algorithm changes every once in a while. Nowadays, you get more engagement when you post reels using Instagram's templates.
Interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. The algorithm on social media platforms are constantly changing, especially LinkedIn. Um, X and LinkedIn are troublesome ones because LinkedIn is constantly changing and you never know when it's changing. And X is, um, they're just trying to change the platform and how it works a little bit. So, um, I would say that, uh, yeah, it's definitely good to be like looking up what the algorithm is. And I wonder if there's, now that you're mentioning, like, I'm sure there is a website where you can look, how the
Yeah.
yeah, so you can create the best. What I know is, this is some tools that I've used to help organizations, but it's always good to see kind of what the algorithm is. And now I want to look and kind of test that theory a little bit.
All right. Well, I think we've answered all the questions. I believe we hit them all. So again, thank you, Rebecca, for this presentation and a lot of engagement from the audience. So if you do have additional questions, Rebecca has shared her contact information. Feel free to reach out. Again, I will send out that follow-up email with additional details, the slide deck, all the good stuff for you. But you can also reply to that if you want further support. And that is it for today. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Thursday and hopefully see you next time. Thanks again.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.